Oh my God, you guys, come and sit down and shut the door. We got to talk about the popular blogger Milagro Grams. Do you know that she is embroiled in the middle of her own Diddy-like lawsuit? And baby, when I say Diddy-like, I mean Diddy-like, okay? And just to cap things off, she was doing this for clicks and views. And if these allegations can be believed, the evilness in her heart. And she even used Carisha Please as a gateway to suck these people to hell and completely violate these men. Okay, I'm going to go live later and talk about this. But first, let's actually get all these facts on the table, all right? Now, first of all, these men were married. Prior to what happened at her little camp freak-offs, these men were actually married, okay? Now, they said that when they invited them, and this is important to listen to the facts and tell me this doesn't sound like Diddy, okay? They were invited through Milagro, the online platform, Station Hit, Discourse, Twitch, Spotify. So basically, they invited them on all their media platforms, okay? They said that it was held in November of 2023. And to top things off, right? They said that it was a party, okay? And Milagro wasn't just the host. It wasn't the first camp mob event. So they're trying to say that this actually always happened, okay? They go on to say that, and here's when things start getting creepy, that she instructed guests that they could not use their personal cell phones. They now come to believe that, one, they wanted no cell phones around so they could have exclusive content. And two, they were doing it because they wanted to prevent their guests from summoning help. While John Doe 1 and John Doe 2, they were at one time married, but after this all happened, they divorced, okay? Committed the SA upon the plaintiff Thomas. Again, plaintiff Thomas was married. The John Doe 1 and John Doe 2, those are Milagro's people. It's unclear, but let's get into this, okay? Okay, so Milagro started off by she encouraged guests to consume an excessive amount of alcohol and use marijuana and THC vape pens. The guests consumed these substances as directed, and this is what Milagro had encouraged, okay? Now, here's the thing. At this time, Milagro introduced a drinking game. When I read this, I said, oh, Lord. She introduced Carisha Please, Risha Roulette, which required guests to drink shots of liquor for each card drawn. Remember when I said that I believe that Young Miami was part of Diddy's plot to mainstream freak-offs? Diddy was on all the gifts Diddy was given. He was on a mission to make freak-offs like what people did after they dropped their kids off at Sunday school. Anyway, it keeps going. Hold on, y'all. Now, if you guys want to know more information on John Doe 1 and John Doe 2, those are the people that actually assaulted the married couple at the time. They were saying that Milagro, after the Carisha Roulette, was like, yo, everybody turn up. And they assaulted that guy according to Milagro's directions. This is what's being alleged, okay? And they said that Milagro's actions, she had an action in creating and controlling the environment. And, of course, she directed them to bring alcohol. Now, interestingly enough, they say that there wasn't a production team present. So she was trying to create this environment that it was a cozy party. And if there was a camera, people might not have got as freaky as they wanted. They said it wasn't even marketed as a mock reality TV show or one that was intended to generate content to be exploited by Milagro, okay? Now, they were not asked to sign NDAs, liability waivers, consent forms, none of that concerning their image and likeness, okay? And this camp mob did not have any form of security. Now, mob included other events. There was a wine tasting event earlier that day. The express purpose of the wine tasting, they're saying, was to ensure that the guests were intoxicated so that Milagro could exploit them. Now, wait till you see how she exploited them, okay? There was even a group meal at the Breakfast Club with a K, not a C. I know what y'all thinking. Charlemagne, what have you gotten into now? But no, it's Breakfast Club with a K. They said Milagros, and the John Does 1 and 2 acted in consort to exploit the plaintiffs by separating them, ensuring they consumed excessive quantities of alcohol so that they were incapable of consent or self-protection, trespassing plaintiffs' private and secure bedroom at the venue, and physically assaulting and committing battery against Jordan Thomas, engaging him in an explicit sexual conduct, recording that conduct, and then later publishing it on various social media platforms. Y'all, exactly, right? Now, they're saying that they also conspired together to exploit them for commercial gain. They said in furtherance of this conspiracy, so I guess they're trying to, well, RICO is criminal, but they're trying to say it's kind of like a RICO, and sexual exploitation. Milagro instructed Jeffries to separate Thomas from Toll-Free. That's the marriage. Thomas and Toll-Free, they're husband and husband at this point, by telling Toll-Free that he had to leave with him in order to handle a food delivery while they were at the winery. Now, they said this was just a ruse to separate Toll-Free from Thomas so that Thomas would consume even more alcohol and be removed from someone that could protect or otherwise look out for him. Again, there's something wrong with people's mind. How, if this is true, first of all, how would you literally going after Meg Thee Stallion and gangbanging legally with Alex Spiro when you knew that this was... Anyway, let's keep going, right? So they said that they continued their exploitation and manipulation later that afternoon when Milagro encouraged Toll-Free to cast some shade or otherwise mess with a guest about the quality of her wig. Now, you know what? Okay. Anyway, right? Because, let's just move on. Toll-Free expecting it to be taken in good humor and providing a spark to the gathering. Not knowing what he was getting himself into, he followed their guidance. That led to a heated argument between Toll-Free and that woman whose wig he just insulted. Now, they said incredibly even more, Milagro and Jeffries asked Toll-Free to leave the venue for the very conduct they just asked him to execute. So slow this down, right? They was like, yo, why don't you start talking about her wig? That looked like a cheap 99-cent wig. And he was like, okay. Yo, your wig looked like 99 cents. And he just thought it was like something they were just doing. And then the guest was like, who the F is you talking to? And then after that, Milagro was like, yo, that was out of line. You need to go. You need to go. Again, if you believe the plaintiffs, and I do, it does seem like a setup. But listen to what they were setting them up. They said, recognizing that he was being manipulated, Toll-Free and Jeffries argued about the request to leave. At this time, Milagro, they were recording the whole thing and offering commentary. Like, ooh, they fighting, they're leaving. This argument was later posted on various social media platforms without the consent. Okay? And don't forget, when I'm saying Milagro, I'm talking about her crew, her production. When you throw events and you do all this stuff and you post it on your media, yes, you are what your agents are, okay? They said that at this time, after they were like, ooh, and they were just like, what do you call it? Agitating everything. So as directed by the host, Toll-Free left the venue, there relieving his spouse in a vulnerable position that Milagro's Jeffries and John Doe's 1 and 2 would exploit. Shortly thereafter, as directed by Milagro defendants and Jeffries, John Doe sat on Thomas's lap. Thomas, by this point, was completely lacking of the ability to consent, and the inability was clearly obvious to all around him. John Doe 1, without Thomas's consent, put his hands on Thomas and physically took him upstairs to a bedroom, locking the door behind them where John Doe 2 was already present. Throughout this time, John Doe 1 made derogatory and demeaning hand gestures. Milagro defendants used a nail to pick the lock and violate Thomas's privacy. John Doe 1 and 2 sexually assaulted Thomas after removing his clothes. Thomas was unconscious when all this was happening. And during this entire episode, Milagro, our defendants are video recording the entire assault and crime. Yes, they literally video recorded it. Now listen, how did he know all this? Because if he was passed out, because Milagro defendants would later brag that she could pick the lock very easily using a nail, as it was a basic interior bedroom lock. Milagro was bragging about this. They said, as this was dehumanizing and criminal assault were not enough, these same defendants further exploited Thomas, orchestrating a coerced confession apology video. At the time, Thomas was unaware that a sexual assault had even taken place, and due to his extreme intoxication and incoherence, agreed to send Milagro a video stating that he did not remember what had occurred. In this state, Thomas was incapable of giving consent and protecting himself from further abuse. How did they... You guys, this is devious. She literally, well, according to the plaintiffs, had these boys separated, husband and husband separated, then got them to the point of unconsciousness, the one that stayed, then filmed them. Then after they filmed it, had him videotape an apology saying, it's okay, nothing happened to me. Who would do that? Why would you even have that on tape? And what does that prove? Him saying, I don't know what happened. Anyway, after Camp Mob and without plaintiff's consent or authorization, Milagro posted non-consensual, explicit footage of Thomas and John Doe's 1 and 2 on various social media platforms on YouTube, Discord, Twitch, and Stationhead. Who the hell was watching this? These same defendants posted again without authorization the events involving Toll-Free and the guest wearing a wig. Much of Milagro's exploitation and invasion of the plaintiff's privacy, including key admissions about their conduct, was self-reported on the Stationhead platform, including broadcasts entitled All Things Go on November 6th. This is sick. In that content, Milagro confessed to an unlawful entry into the bedroom and recording him. Milagro and Jeffries reaped financial rewards and remuneration in the form of subscriptions and donations on Twitch, Stationhead, Spotify, Cash App, and Discord. They also received audience payments and event participation. Milagro subsequently removed this content upon learning that Toll-Free would be deposed in a lawsuit filed by Megan Thee Stallion. Yo, what is wrong with Milagro? If this is true, she is sick. This is some evil, dark-hearted Diddy level stuff. She literally made a freak-off using Carisha. Please, I told you that game was the game of the devil. I don't care what nobody says. If you need a board game as an excuse to get freaky, like, what? God. Anyway, right? And that's probably how Diddy thought he was going to get around consent. Nah, they gotta take a shot, or they gotta do this. It's like, okay, whatever, right? And she only removed it after the deposition. So this guy was subpoenaed for deposition in the Meg Thee Stallion trial against Milagro. And in that deposition, that's when they found out what happened. Wow. They said Meg Thee Stallion and sued Milagro for spreading false and harassing content, including sexually explicit deepfake videos, which Milagro encouraged her followers to share and engage with, and engage in a years-long campaign of harassment against Meg. The matter, what y'all think about this? If this is true, and it seems like it is, because they was deposed by Alex Sparrow. Alex Sparrow probably put them down and be like, y'all know y'all got a lawsuit, right? How could you be, what is wrong with you? It literally puts that whole deepfake video she circulated about Meg Thee Stallion. She somehow thought that she wasn't legally liable about putting out deepfake revenge porn. This is some evil, dark-hearted stuff. It is Diddy level. I wasn't lying when I said this is actually Diddy level mess. What do y'all think about this? Because to me, this is an entire mess, and this is evil. Check out live and put a 1 in the comments if you want me to go live and read the whole court document. But y'all, Milagro should be ashamed of herself. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.